Hi, MOATOH here. I want to spend a few minutes talking about the floating bridge. I want to show you some neat things you can do with it if you've really got it floating. But first of all, something which to me is very serious, because millions of us are self-taught on guitar, and we have skipped musical education. As a result, and I can tell you this with certainty, millions of professional musicians and concert musicians are laughing at us, and they are rolling their eyes at us. And the reason is we are among the few musicians on the planet who don't know what we're talking about when we handle our equipment. I'd like to fix that. Lord knows it's the manufacturers of the equipment who have misled us all these years. It's a simple distinction, and I'd love to have everybody talk about it the right way and get some respect back, because right now, frankly, we look like a bunch of goofs. So let me give you an example and we'll work through this. What do you call this? And I hope you call it vibrato, because that's what it is. It is vibrato. The note is going up and down. So if that's vibrato, what is this? That is vibrato. And if that's vibrato, what's that? And that is vibrato. This is tremolo, and never the twain shall meet. This is a vibrato bridge. It is not a tremolo. Now, I'm holding equipment made by two of the major offenders in our industry. If you go to Fender the Offender right now and you look up the Stratocaster, you will see the word tremolo applied to this. The other thing is, inside the back of this thing, and it works beautifully, made by Hipshot, is something erroneously called the trem setter, and it ought to be called the vib setter, but it isn't. So we could all get a lot more respect if every single one of us called this stuff by its right name, because everybody else in the music world knows, and we don't seem to. Every opera singer has vibrato or she doesn't get the gig. And so everybody knows what vibrato is, apparently, except us. Now, enough said about that. A floating bridge is one that is off the deck. In other words, it's not sitting flat on the body, and the beautiful thing about that is you can go up and down. For example, if you're sitting on the deck, you can't do this, because you can't push it up. So that's the first thing. I'm going to show you 3 or 4 really neat things. In fact, for me as a player, since the 60s, more than half of my vibrato playing has come from rocking the bridge, not from doing that. Next up, we all play a lot of multiple string chords. So we're playing this, and I can't vibrato that stuff. And even if I can vibrato a couple, this is sitting dead. So there's the solution. That's one. Next thing is, you may want a really fast vibrato, Knopfler, Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing. So that's a really nice way to use it. And then the great Canadian blues player Colin James does something which has got to come from this kind of approach. I'm telling you, I don't know for sure, but so, can you pre-bend and then slowly detune and vibrato at the same time without that bridge? I'm not sure. I don't really think so. So, the next one I want to show you is just to make beautiful things even more beautiful. Now, this next one is really my point. You can't keep yourself from vibratoing that. But you're on a sharp first string, and it's much nicer in here. And if you want to vibrato this, I don't think there's any chance of getting both those strings vibratoed to the same degree at the same time. I certainly can't synchronize them, but this is the answer. Okay, now one more trick you can do with these things, really interesting. Carl Verheyen is a great session player lead guitar player for Supertramp for some years, and he does a lot of pieces on YouTube. They're well worth watching. Does some great workshops, and one of them is how to set up your floating bridge so that you actually get musical notes out of it. And it has to do with the way you adjust the claws in the back, and he describes this. And by the way, while he's talking about it, I think it's this piece. He looks off camera and he says, is this a vibrato or a tremolo? I'm not sure I know. Well, why don't we all know, okay? Anyway, Carl is showing this kind of thing, and you move the claws. And I've got mine almost right, but I changed the strings. But I can show you in general. And here's what my claws look like, and you can see one of them's out further than the other. And here's what you get. On the E string, you get a quarter tone. Let me take the echo off. You get a good quarter tone. On the B string, you get a whole tone. On the G, you get a flat third. You get 3 half tones. I'm a little off there, but you can get it. On the D string, it doesn't quite work. It's a flat third. But on the A string, you do get one that's usable. And on the low E, you get something that's halfway between this and this. No good. So a floating bridge is truly a wonderful thing to have. And for those of you who've got your bridge sitting flat on the deck, consider raising it, and take a look at Carl's piece for sure to see about tuning it too. A floating bridge is a great thing to have, and it's even greater if you can call it a vibrato. Thanks for your kind attention. So long.